Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Today I'm going to talk about trauma. I've been living with trauma ever since I was a little baby. I was sexually abused since age 2 or 3, right up until last year. Last year I was in a local hospital and a female nurse sexually assaulted me. And because they also did other bad things to me, like starve me, and I would be crying out in pain and hungry, and they refused to feed me. The only time I got food was when my mom would come to visit me. I don't know why they did that to me. But anyway, I'll regress a little bit. So when I was about 2 or 3, my uncle assaulted me, and that's where it began. I've had many nervous breakdowns, and the abusers were family, teachers, students, kids in my class. When I got to be a teenager, it got even worse. And that's why I left school in grade 10. I never did go back to high school. By the time I was a young teen, I was terrified of people. I never had a decent job. Most of my jobs were babysitting jobs. I was a nanny for 4 years to a little boy, and I treated him like he was my own child. I would take him places. We'd go down to the Eaton Center, up to Scarborough Town Center. We had a lot of fun. Even after his parents came home in the evening, I would have my dinner and I'd go back to his house and we'd play. And I loved playing with him. We had a lot of fun. His mother was a bit of a problem, though. She didn't like me, and I didn't like her. She didn't like the fact that I made him help me do the dishes. She didn't like that, and I said, well, he's got to learn these things. He's got to learn to help out. Anyway, we parted ways. So last year when I was assaulted in a hospital, I sent a report to the police, but they didn't even acknowledge me. And then I tried to get an investigation to happen. But because the nurses that did that to me, there was more than one, did not put their names in my file. So the College of Nurses of Ontario told me, without their names, there can be no investigation. So that was that. And I remember talking to the lady who told me I'm so sorry. And I remember crying. It was a hard time for me in that hospital. There was an RT, a respiratory therapist, who would come in my room next to my bed and taunt me by saying, "You're here to enjoy our hospitality." I laughed at her and said, "You're funny. There's no hospitality here. You people are starving me to death, and you don't starve a diabetic." And she would laugh. The next day, my mom came in and found a piece of my BiPAP machine missing. And she said to that rotten RT, "Where did it go? It didn't just walk away." And the RT said, "Oh, somebody probably threw it in the garbage." My mom was so mad, and so was I. I said, "You had no business touching that." And she made up this story. My mom and I knew the truth. I can't use my right arm. So this RT named Linda made up this story and shouted at my mom that I slapped her in the face, and a doctor was a witness. And my mom said she can't use her right arm. I'm laughing at it now, but I thought, what a bunch of crooks making up stories about me when all I had was pneumonia. And this happened in an ICU room. I was in intensive care. And a doctor and Linda and a whole bunch of them had it in for me. They didn't like me. They would pin me down. And I couldn't move, and I was in pain, screaming. I remember another time about 5 PSWs, personal support workers, came into my room, manhandled me, like pushed me, pulled me, hurt me, and they ran out of the room laughing at me crying. I was crying because they were hurting me, and they treated me like garbage. And I saw them in the window. They were all laughing. I could hear them all laughing loudly. They said, "Put a sign on her door that says, 'No one allowed, not even her mother.'" Yeah. I don't know how people like that can sleep at night with a guilty conscience. But I guess they had no conscience. I could never do that to another person, especially a sick person. Then that rotten doctor, Dr. Batts, said to me, "What can we do to make you feel safe?" I said, "I need to go home." But then when my mom asked him why weren't they sending me home, he just stood there and then he walked away. I finally had to ask for a psychiatrist. And luckily she got a hold of my doctor, and my doctor came to see me. And then finally I got to go home. Now if I have to go to hospital, I always tell the ambulance paramedics, don't ever take me to Scarborough General again. They abused me there. So they listen to me now. Because sometimes when they come in, they say, oh, well, we can't guarantee it. So I tell them. And then they say, oh, we're sorry that happened to you. We won't take you there. I'm being honest. I wish the police would have listened to me. Anyway, folks, thank you for listening and watching. Thankfully, I've overcome a lot of these adversities. I'm safe now. And I'm home in my own bed. But I always fear that I'll have to go back to hospital again. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye for now.